Good evening, everyone. We are back with another episode of Abby's Abode, and obviously, with the title of this video, we're going to be discussing the documentary released by Peacock and WWE, "Becoming Immortal," the story of Bray Wyatt. We're going to be focusing on that the rest of the episode. So, just want to let you know that just in case you haven't had an opportunity to watch it, because we will be discussing the documentary in its entirety, and we've got a lot to get to with that. But let me bring us on screen real quick, because um, another thing that we're going to be doing today is we're going to be celebrating Jodie's birthday. It's Abby's birthday, folks. So happy birthday to Jodie, and I have a quick little video that I want to play, and then I'll welcome everyone in, and then I'll actually welcome Jodie in too, like I normally do, and then we'll get going. So here we go. Happy birthday, Jodie.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Jodie. Happy birthday. And you got a lot of folks in the chat wishing you happy birthday as well. So thank you all for joining us. And Jodie, as we often do, how are you this evening?
Good.
Good.
I think all of us emotionally feel like we've been hit by a bus.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely gonna talk about that, because there was honestly, like, I knew I'd get emotional, but I didn't know I'd get that emotional. And it wasn't, I mean, for me, it was at different times, and we'll get into that, but it was, different times brought out different emotions. So let me welcome everyone in the chat. Thank you all for joining us. We've got a good crowd. We've got folks joining from Twitch, from Facebook, YouTube, and X. So thank you all for joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate it. And we want to get your thoughts too. So as I'm asking questions, I want you all to start sharing your thoughts on everything as well. So yeah, we'll get to it. So Jodie, I know we haven't had this show in a few weeks, but I wanted to get your thoughts on what your initial thoughts when it was announced that we'd be getting a Bray Wyatt documentary. What were your initial thoughts?
When I first saw the trailer, I was at work, and obviously, everybody knows that I have a friendship with Bray, and so everybody was sending me links to it and things like that, and I went outside. Sorry.
That's okay.
I went outside to watch it, took a little 5-minute break from work, and I ended up on my knees outside bawling my eyes out, because I kind of figured at some point they would do a documentary. But I kind of wasn't expecting it that soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But and I just thought, oh man, that's going to be hard to get through. Yeah. And I don't know. It was, in a way, watching the trailer and stuff, it felt like I was reliving it all over again. So it took me by surprise at first, and I wasn't expecting to get that emotional over it. But I don't know. It just reminded me how I felt when we first found out that he was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think I'm there with you in terms of being shocked that we got it as soon as we did. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like they would do something at some point, but I didn't know it would be this year and right before WrestleMania, which honestly makes a ton of sense if you think about it. To do it now, as opposed to later on in the year, it just makes a lot of sense. But folks in the chat, let us know too your initial thoughts on when the documentary was first announced, and just your thoughts when you heard the news. The next thing I want to get into, just diving into the documentary itself. What's one thing that you learned from the documentary that you didn't know previously? Is there something that you picked up on that you didn't know?
I didn't realize how nervous he was before he came back. Like I knew he was nervous,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I didn't realize quite how nervous he was, and I didn't realize he got that into art while he was gone,
Yeah,
and he
that
got
was
that
amazing.
good at it. Like,
That artwork was tremendous. I mean, just absolutely tremendous. And if you haven't seen the documentary, I would highly recommend that you check it out.
make sure you have tissues.
Yeah, and have tissues. Let's see. Austin saying I started tearing up when they showed the kids. Yeah, me too.
Oh.
Um, let's see. James Chadwick saying the doc made me feel sad because he's gone, laughing because just how hilarious and silly he was. Also, being a fan of such a great, yeah, also proud of being a fan of such a great human being. Yeah, I agree. I think, um, my goodness, wow. I just, it was so well done. I think, just
Mm-hmm.
everyone involved. Um, let's see, D saying, I thought I needed this, Miss Bray, so much and needed this. I think it made a ton of sense with not being in the Hall of Fame this year. Um, Brittany, hey, Brittany saying, I was lying to myself, telling myself I wasn't going to cry like 1 minute into it. Same.
I
I
think
was,
for me, like as soon as I heard his voice,
yeah, yeah,
because I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be other people talking about his life and what a great person he was, but
yeah,
for me, it was almost like an answered prayer because I needed those last 5 minutes with him. I
yeah,
needed, I needed that, and I kind of feel like I got it.
yeah, yeah. I agree. When they were showing younger clips of him, and I mean, I'll be honest, I lost it really at the beginning when they were showing, his parents and him being born, and all that. From the very beginning, I was emotional. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, it was I'll say a difficult watch because of the love, and the love that we have for him. And I say have is it's an action, and we still love him. We always will. Um, but I think the way that this was done, telling a complete story, really from beginning to end. Did you think that they were going to go that direction, or did you think that they would just focus on the wrestling years? Were you surprised that they started like from birth to you know
Not
until
really. I kind of expecting them to do that. Um, I think the only criticism I would have about the documentary is that um, Kyle Scarborough was visibly absent. And obviously, he's a good friend of our channel, and we know that he drew the concept art. Obviously, Jason drew concept art as well, but um, I do really want to give a shout out to Kyle for all of the amazing hard work that he did drawing all of the man hours that he spent drawing all of these concept arts for Bray. Obviously, he did a tattoo on him. He drew the concept art for the lantern. And he's the only person that I trusted enough to tattoo Bray on my back. And there's, obviously that's a sketch of the tattoo that he did on my back. So, Kyle is an amazing human being. He is, one of one of my favorite people on the planet. My son thinks he's the coolest person on the planet. So I was surprised that he wasn't mentioned at all. So I wanted to make sure that we gave him the mention, because we know he did a lot of hard work around all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, Kyle. You're the bomb.
Absolutely. And I got to share this funny little exchange right here. Can I share it? Mm-hmm. Is it okay if I share it? Okay. I got to share this real quick because I just think the conversation is hilarious.
So this is a text that he sent to Bray, obviously with a picture of my tattoo, and he was kind of impressed, I guess. And this was before he started following me back on Twitter. It wasn't long after that he did, but yeah, it wasn't as. Yes, it was in a painful spot, but I've had more painful tattoos than that.
I thought that exchange was so funny. I had to bring it up.
And I appreciate that Kyle was nice enough to post that and send it to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because he was like, oh yeah, he knows about you, like before I even started talking to him. So
that's awesome. That's so awesome. So, I did want to, we talked, you mentioned briefly, about Jason. So I did want to kind of go here next, because, and I thought that they did this masterfully.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with, EJ Movement. What's up, EJ? There's a few things that they should have covered probably, and I agree, Kyle should have been in there in some way, shape, or form. But there were some other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish that they had gotten someone to answer more about the Husky Harris stuff. Honestly, I wanted to hear a little bit more about. I honestly wanted to see a creative meeting, just a clip of it, if they had a video of that. But all in all, it was great. But one of the things we saw though, Jodie, is we got to take a look at Wyndham's final creation, and I wanted to share that on screen real quick and just get your thoughts on what we saw. And as Jason explained it and gave details on it, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Only Bray would come up with that level of detail. He was so immaculate. He was perfect when it came to that eye for detail. His kids' names being in the pants, the dates on his mask, and it just, his knack for detail was impeccable. And that's why one of the reasons why we loved him so much was because he left those Easter eggs and those clues for us to dig into and to find. But yeah, I love that his kids' names was in the pants, and the belt was like a mix of the praying hands and the buzzard logo, and I love the little caption down there. He loved making you look. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He made you look so deep into things. You weren't quite sure how far down the rabbit hole you just went.
Yeah.
And, JoJo's face being on the back, I love that he was going to try a different maneuver.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. When Jason was talking about that and how, and I saw it, I caught a glimpse of it and I was like, wait, is that another mask? And then it is. And he talked about how, when he would, instead of doing the spider walk, he'd do the different thing, and it flipped out. That was so cool. Like like you said, though, the level of detail,
amazing.
Just amazing. And amazing. Even there's the Mockingbird,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just
You really got to feel for how much he loved his family
yeah, yeah,
in this last outfit.
yeah.
Because obviously there's nods to JoJo, there's nods to kids. I mean, he just, you know, he loved his family.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, he absolutely did, and you can tell. I mean, in hearing his brother Taylor, Bo Dallas talk about it. I just wanted to reach through the TV and give him a hug.
I
Honestly,
know. I know.
I really did. Hanzo, what's up? And everyone that's recently joined, thank you all for joining us. Got a great crowd out here this evening. Drop a like on the video, and leave. And if you're on Twitch or X, drop a comment. Let us know that you're here and leave us your thoughts.
I
But
think
yeah,
the part that got me the most when I really, really like there were two moments that I remember that I really lost it. And and Chris was kind of the same way. Um, and it was when he was talking about Brody
yeah, oh
and
yeah,
actually seeing him cry and that upset. I lost it. And then at the end, seeing his kids.
yeah,
Um, because obviously, like, we've watched those kids grow up, and hearing that they're all of them have a little bit of him.
yeah.
And I just, oh my gosh, I lost it.
Seeing them all together at that
Mm-hmm.
and seeing their smiles and their mannerisms and
Mm-hmm.
them interacting with each other, you could just feel a presence that was so strong in that moment. um and I just thought that, wow, like and that part got me, being a dad myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if other people think this way, and I'll just say that sometimes you do think about your mortality, and you do think about how are my kids going to be, and that entire the end of that documentary put me in that mindset, like how would my kids be, and you know, would they have the support? And I know that they would they have the support needed? Um, and it's just a powerful thing to see, to see them, and then you know, their resemblance to him.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
it's wild.
Harry
And
is his clone.
yeah, yeah.
I
I mean,
mean, his clone. Like,
yeah,
every time I see pictures of her, all I see is him.
yeah. I mean, it was just wild. And it's like you can see different. It's almost like, and I'm trying not to go too deep out here in the space, but it was almost like seeing a puzzle
Mm.
that was out of place. And then once they all smiled, it was like all of the pieces just came together, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is like him, but in these children, and it's just wow. I mean, it was just mind blowing.
It's a miracle. And like we were talking just before we went on, like creation is the supernatural thing that humans can do that connects us with God on a whole nother level. Um, and you know, it, it's a gift that he's given us the ability to create life. Um, which is something that only us and God can do. And those children are a part of him.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that they're well taken care of.
Yeah,
And that JoJo's family's involved, obviously Samantha's still involved, and the WWE universe is kind of just wrapped them all into a big old hug.
yeah. It's like now they have a bunch. a bunch of aunties and uncles and
Yep.
cousins that they have no idea how many they have, but they got a bunch of us. So, yeah. So, yeah. Eric, what's up, Eric? Saying love all the little details embedded in the mask and outfit. Absolutely, absolutely, man. The man was a genius, and I love the comments about he wanted you to have to take a second look. He knew that every word that he said and everything that he did, everything that he wore was going to get people talking. And in many cases, as has been demonstrated on this channel, we break things down and go way, way deep into it. And because there's so
But he
much
loves
depth
that.
there,
He
and he
loves that we
loved it.
did that.
Exactly. And that's
I mean,
why
obviously, not just us, like people like C Wrestling and all
right,
these other channels that just really delved into his character. Like he loved that.
right. Absolutely. Because I mean, there was so much, and that's the thing too, is because everything that he did had meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like, oh, this wrestling company's just putting this person out there and just slapping on whatever. Everything, every little detail meant something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was up to us to have that discussion. I'm pretty sure there were times where he would sit back and look at, social media and be like, "Oh man, that's pretty close. They're on to it." And you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm pretty sure he had fun with that.
I know there were times that he did that.
So
100%.
that's good stuff. I mean, just being able to have fun with it, but also, and I thought it was interesting too. I'm glad that they went here to they talked about how he didn't want to have his visions screwed with.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of passion behind what he was doing. So obviously the story that they were telling didn't just have to make sense for WWE, but more importantly, it had to make sense for him, right?
He was meticulous. Like, and I can't blame him for that. Those were his creations, his vision. I wouldn't want anybody mess with it either.
Yeah.
And, stubborn as a mule.
Yeah, I mean, and but that's how we should be about
Mhm.
those things that matter most to us.
Yeah.
And especially with if you're creative, if you enjoy creating, doing art and graphic design, whatever the case may be, you don't want people to screw with your work. You don't want them to tell you, "Oh, well, this color looks good here, but you need to change this over here." You don't want that. You want to be able to have some freedom behind what you thought about so much and so passionately, and
Mm-hmm.
to hear the stories about how, you talk about having a 1-hour creative meeting and then 2 minutes later he's calling Triple H about additional ideas. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that it showed it shows that how much passion he had
Yeah.
in what he did.
And I actually kind of like that they showed clips of him being really frustrated.
Yeah.
Um, because it makes sense. I know that there were times that he was frustrated. Um, because especially with obviously I knew that he did get hurt during that Inferno match with Randy Orton, but I didn't realize how much really went into that and how frustrated he really was.
Yeah.
So for me, it was good to see things like that because it reminded you that he was just Wyndham.
Right.
He was just human, and now he's an angel, and that's what God needed him for.
I think, and you bring up some great points. I think the other thing that it showed me was that he was willing to go to battle to tell his story the way that he envisioned it,
Mm-hmm.
not just so he could see it play out, but so all the Fireflies could see it play out.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many of us have, we do that deep dive and we break down everything and we look at how something's placed on in a photo or an image or a piece of art, and we break all that stuff down, and it's being done for a reason. Those breadcrumbs were left for a reason, and it was done that way intentionally. So obviously, he wanted it to lead to the place where he envisioned it going. And I think not only for himself, but I think for all of us too, because he knew that we were on that journey with him all the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was equally as passionate about the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hearing them talk about how the Fireflies started and hearing him talk about that.
Yeah.
That made me tear up a little bit too, because he just had so much love for us that we will have to wait to see more of.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I was kind of debating on when to play this, but I think this is kind of a perfect time to do that. Here's some of the pictures that we've gotten since we started this channel, honestly, and started doing Abby's Window way back when. But here are just some of the photos of some of the folks who've been, a part of this journey, and others that have met Bray. So I just want to share this all with you, and we'll on the other side we'll come back with some other questions. All right. So like I said, I just wanted to share that with all of you. And here's some. Hey, Chris. So here's something else I want to throw out. So I'm gonna post a video on the channel. That video that I just showed. If you want your picture or piece of art or whatever it may be to be included in that video, shoot us an email. And the email's on the screen. Just send us an email with a photo, and I'll extend the video so we can get a bunch of folks included. So please, if you want to do that, I'm going to ask to have those by Friday if that's possible. So that gives you a little bit of time to get those in. So Jason Peace, what's up? Saying it's insane that he had so much padding on for that Inferno match and he still got burnt. When he put on the burnt Fiend costume, every time he moved his head, the mask moved a different way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, I've never seen him cry like that. And I hope I never have to see it again.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
like I told her when we watched that, the hardest thing for me about, watching stuff like that and thinking about him and everything is just that the fact that I never got to meet him. And especially more so that I still have the ticket that I had already paid for to meet him at WrestleMania 2020 that got canceled. So that I missed my chance and never got to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's rough. That's sad, man. And I had I think I had somebody I was talking to recently about the documentary and everything said the same thing, that they were supposed to meet him in Tampa, and the whole entire world shut down and just messed up everything. So I'm so sorry. I do want to I'm going to ask you this first, Chris, and then we'll go to Jodie. Obviously, we want the chat involved. So, chat, let me know your thoughts on this. What's one takeaway that you have from the documentary that will always stay with you?
Honestly, I think that you kind of touched on it earlier, Jeff. And as a dad, I definitely can relate to what you were saying about thinking that way. Like, the thing that really hit me was that to never take anything for granted. Like, it stuck with me that he was, the day that he passed, he was supposed to go pick up his older daughters from school and just went to go take a nap before he did it, and he never woke up. Like, you just don't know. You don't know when your last moment's going to be. And I'm guilty of not cherishing moments that I should be, and that just kind of stuck with me like that. That's important because you just never know.
Absolutely. Jodie, same question to you.
It was something that you actually said, Jeff, that he needed us just as much as we needed him. And it was a two-way street. He loved us, we loved him, and that was just a whole reminder of that, about how much passion he had for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was blown away at how many different people at different times talked about, I mean, obviously the love for his family and everything, but for him to be at the position that he was in wrestling and entertainment and being this celebrity and well-known person, to care so much about what he did, that he also loved the people who supported him, because he knows that they helped him kind of get to where he was in terms of popularity. That was mind-blowing to me, because it's pretty obvious that he let a lot of people know that was the case. And I just want to read some of these comments here. Alexa Bliss Gamer 0809 saying Wyndham Rotunda loved professional wrestling. Brittany saying great father, great man in general, amazing friend to everyone. Bonkers saying he loved his family and wrestling. John G saying great father, great husband. Big Dan, welcome, saying just finished the documentary and holy tearjerker, Batman. Yes. I love the tease at the end. We're going to get there. I'm not going to read the rest of that comment because we're going to get there. Static Marie saying wonderful human being. Thomas Ray Ellingberg saying he was one of a kind, unique. Yeah, I mean, James saying how humble he was. Dro saying, DRO saying he was awesome to see in person. Deanna saying appreciate everything, don't take things for granted. Absolutely. So I guess I just want to get overall thoughts next on the documentary, and just what you both thought, and same with the chat. I want to get your thoughts too on what you thought overall of the documentary, how it was done. Jodie, I know you mentioned before that there was an obvious omission, but just overall thoughts on how it was done, and how they pieced everything together. What were your thoughts?
I think it was beautifully done. I can't imagine how difficult that must have been for his family to sit there and talk about him like that.
Especially to relive that day like they did.
Yeah. Yeah, to relive that whole day, and Taylor talking about how he felt Bray there and said that he needed to stand up and be the man of the family now, and it was it was a good tribute to the man that he was. Yeah, and I think it was brilliantly done.
Yeah. Chris.
It was fantastic documentary. Yeah, it was really well done, and I love the way that they started out with his dad and his family in wrestling. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know if they would do that or not, but I like that they talked about his roots in wrestling, and then it was really cool to see. And you can relate to this, Jeff, too, as someone who was a fan of his from the very beginning. I did a really good job of showing he got over so organically. I mean, he came in especially as a heel, and the fans just took to him right away. And the fans is what made him big and what made WWE push him, I feel like, because he just got himself so over, even as a heel, which is incredibly hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about at the time that he did it too.
Mm-hmm.
He just connected with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
He came in and we'd never seen anything like that in wrestling before. It was so awesome.
He broke the mold.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you had Undertaker, and
but it wasn't exactly like the Undertaker. That was what was cool. It was a dark character, but it wasn't like he tried to be the Undertaker or anything. It was something his own. And Undertaker even said that. It was so cool, and they did such a good job of really highlighting his career and talking about the ups and the downs.
Mm-hmm.
Of his career.
Yeah.
And how what happened in his career coincided with what was going on in his personal life.
Yeah, how much his personal life affected what was happening in his career. That was neat to see too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it was interesting seeing how, and I'm glad they pointed it out, how quickly he rose. Like you said, he was there for 6 months, and then all of a sudden he's getting major programs with wrestlers, and I mean, he's doing major things. And they talked about the character and how it felt like a movie character, but in wrestling. You're taking them off that big screen and you're putting them on the small screen and in wrestling. And that was so unique. And I mean, I love the fact that they tied in, Waylon Mercy and talked about his influence.
Yes,
but also the Cape Fear.
I showed Cape Fear to Jodie. I'm like, Bray totally must take inspiration from this movie.
Yep. Max Cady. I mean, sometimes his cadence and the way he delivers words and how he never really gets too riled up, but that you're not supposed to mess with him like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's done so well. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was very well done too. I really did. And I mean, with documentaries,
I don't think I could watch it again for a while.
Yeah. I was actually going to say that same thing. I think for documentaries like this, where you're telling a person's story after they've passed, it's tough, and it's a tough thing to make someone say, I'm going to go back and watch that again. So you've got to really nail it on the first try. You've got to really get it right the first time, and I feel like they did. And I feel like it was well done. Jesse Callan, how are you? I don't know if you've been watching for a bit, but I did steal one of your old pictures that you sent us and put it in the video. So just letting you know. But yeah, so it was I thought it was well done. So I want to ask this question. I was going to save this for last, but I'm kind of teasing out the other thing I want to save for last. I know we've talked about this before when we did his tribute, but what's Bray's legacy? And I'll break it down into two parts here. In wrestling and just in general, what's his legacy? Chris or Jodie, either one of you can answer first.
I think they're both the same in wrestling and in general, that it's okay to be different. and to be who you are and how God made you to be.
Yeah, I think definitely, at least for wrestling, and you heard numerous people mention this documentary. Hands down, he is the most creative person ever to be in wrestling. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing for, and I know it meant a lot to him. It's one thing for us to say it as fans, but when you have people like The Undertaker
Mm-hmm.
and many of his peers saying the exact same thing that you just said,
Yeah,
it goes to show just how different, how unique, how special Bray Wyatt was and still is. I mean,
and I love that
his
they. I think it was Seth Rollins said it, like how he was not afraid to take chances.
Mm-mm.
right. Yeah, he was brave. He was doing something that no one had ever done before.
Yeah.
And that's because I feel like a lot of that's just because he embraced who he was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that may be why the tagline later on was revel in what you are. Like, don't be afraid to be who you are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So well done. Yeah, I mean, just
as far as personally, I mean, I know I never got to meet him, but every person that I've ever heard talk about him that met him says the exact same thing, that he was the kindest, nicest person that they'd ever met in their entire life. So that's definitely a personal legacy that he left behind.
Right.
For me, he was how I imagine Jesus wants us to be. In terms of his personal life, like humble, kind, loved people no matter what. Like, it was almost like a hallelujah. It was like, man, yeah. That's how we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Exactly how we're supposed to be.
Someone in the documentary mentioned it, and Jodie had told me this before. I love how, it was mentioned that, like, at meet and greets and stuff, he would, like, completely concentrate on that one person at that one time for that 5 minutes or whatever. Like, they had his undivided attention. He wasn't trying to just rush him out and get out of there. Like, he wanted to, spend as much time as he could with that person and get to know them, talk to them about whatever. Like, that was just so cool. Because most celebrities are not like that.
Yeah.
In my experience, I've met a few celebrities before, and they've never been like that.
And he remembered things. Like, if you met him, he remembered. I don't know how, but if you ever met him, he remembers you.
Yeah.
Like, even like with me, when I first met him, I didn't get to meet him again until 9 months after that, and he still remembered exactly who I was. So if you met him, he remembered you. I said to Chris last night, like, even though the kids and him never got to meet him, like, he asked about them. He knew about them. You know what I mean? So he had this insane ability to, when you were with him, you felt like you were the only person in the room.
Right.
And you were the only person that mattered to him right at that moment.
Right. I was just going to say, like, meeting him and being in that moment, there were a crap ton of people there. There were so many people there. But in those moments, I felt like it was just me and him, just
everything
two guys hanging out. Everything else, it was just, there was nothing. It was just two guys talking about football and how big one another are. That was it. Like,
it was like you were in a bubble. It's like you forgot. Like, everything around you just went hazy. And you just forgot that there were other people there because you were in this little bubble with Bray, and that was it.
It was the wildest thing. Like, I've never
experienced that with anybody else. Like, meeting Caleb and getting to know him, like, he pays attention to an extent. Like, when he's talking to you, he's looking at you like he's, he connects with you in that way. But Bray he was on a whole nother level.
Hmm.
It really was like you were in a bubble with him.
Yeah. So obviously if you've watched the documentary, you know that I'm just going to put it like this. I feel like there were several hints dropped. Not just at the end, but throughout the documentary in terms of what it is that Taylor, better known as Bo Dallas, is maybe looking to do. I felt like the way that they did that was very respectful.
Yes.
I feel like they didn't just throw out in your face like, he's just trying to pick up where Bray left off. It was it's about continuing his legacy, not story per se, but his legacy. So
Yeah.
What did you think about that, and what do you think is next for Bo? Going from now and beyond. Like where do you think this goes next? And what did you think about how they did it in the documentary and what you felt that they were trying to portray?
I absolutely love that. What a way to end the documentary about braids and to have something like that felt so British. It was, it was almost like the White Rabbit all over again. The little hints and teases and stuff. It was perfect that they did that. I mean, you couldn't have had a better way to end it. And I think that was so cool to hear Taylor talk about that, and that this is something he wants to do. Like it's not WWE pushing him to do that to cash in or anything like that. No, this is something he wants to do to honor his brother.
It's not out of obligation.
Yeah. This is purely just he recognizes who his brother was, and he wants to do something to honor him. So I think it's awesome. I can't wait to see what it is. It seems like maybe it's going to be Uncle Howdy coming back. If so, that's awesome. I think it would even be cool if Taylor wore that new Fiend costume that Bray never got to and came back as that. Like, whatever. I trust Taylor is going to do what he feels he should do and what Bray would want him to do. So I'm cool with whatever. I hope to see it, whenever he's ready.
Yeah. I mean, what a better way to end it than with something very Brayish, something that Bray would do.
Yeah.
And I love that, and it does feel like a continuation of his legacy, and it's something that it seems like Taylor wants to do. And if that's something that he wants to do and it's something that God's pulling him to, I'm all for it. It's going to be really weird at first to see something that Bray created continue without him. But I know the only person that can do that justice is Taylor.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust anybody else.
No one else
than Taylor and Jason.
Yeah.
I mean, the only people that can do that justice is Taylor and Jason.
Yeah. And it was cool too that he mentioned at one point in there that like about our, it wasn't even too long after Bray passed that he already, was feeling Bray's presence and stuff. Like, so I feel like, and we've all experienced similar things since his passing where we felt like it was just a little nod from him. So I'm sure that Taylor will be getting those too and working on this stuff, whatever. And, Bray will be up there smiling down on whatever he's doing.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why he's gone, honestly. Because it was the only way to make sure that he was there for everybody. You're talking about angels and guardian angels and stuff. He was just a man. Now he can be everywhere. And I believe that he is everywhere. And, you know, there's been times that I've had a really bad day and I'm like, I wish I had Bray right now, and something will happen. I'll be like, thanks, Bray. How many times has that happened?
I've just been that like, thing on the TV.
Oh yeah.
That was awesome.
There was so I like to listen to like thunderstorms or stuff like that when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And this one popped up, and it was like Christian instrumental music, you know, to help you fall asleep. And the background was a forest full of fireflies.
Oh, wow.
There was even a lantern.
And a lantern right in the middle of it. And it
wow.
It was a suggested video.
Wow.
On YouTube.
Wow.
And I just went, thanks, Bray. Like, there's so many moments that things like that happen that it's almost like when we were watching that documentary last night with the Exorcist, mm-hmm. and he's like, you expect it now. Mm-hmm. You expect miracles, mm-hmm. because you get so used to them. Mm-hmm. You expect them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I really, but in the last 24 hours, I've gotten so much more peace.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's why he's not here, so that he can be there for everybody. And that's what he always wanted. He was such a giver and had such a big heart and soul for other people that now he has the ability to actually be there for everybody.
That's another thing I really liked about the documentary. I'm not going to say that it provided closure, but it was something that I needed. I don't mm-hmm. even know how to describe it, but like, even though I cried during the stuff, but I needed that. Mm-hmm. It was just nice to, I don't know, I guess.
It was nice to get
him. And just to find out more about him, and I don't know, I just needed something to hear about him.
I was talking to someone about this, and because I said the word closure, and just like for you, it's like closure maybe isn't the right word, mm-hmm. but this is what they shared. They said, this is like you're reading that really, really good book that you like, and you're turning the page to this next chapter. Mm-hmm. You had to get through those previous pages, but now this gives you an opportunity to turn the page to the next chapter.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think that's kind of where we are right now in terms of just remembering his legacy, mm-hmm. and, continuing to celebrate him and celebrate what he did, not only in wrestling, but in his life. And I think this is a good opportunity to kind of turn that page to the next chapter. And I'm going to say this too.
That is a good way to put it.
I think
it feels like since the last thing, like I've been stuck,
Yeah, you've been stuck. Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing with Taylor too, let's say, and I want to throw this out there too and ask, but Taylor's going to have a ton of fireflies, mm-hmm. supporting him every step of the way.
We're behind you, Taylor. We got your back.
Right. That's right. So I'm just going to have you throw out predictions. I know, Chris, you put this very well, when he's ready, and I think that's most important. Yeah. But when do you think we may get him back involved in WWE in some way, shape, or form?
I mean, hearing what I'm hearing about, like, I heard that Fightful said that tease was on purpose, putting that at the end, and they said that, when he's ready. But I don't know. I feel like, obviously I could be way wrong here. I feel like with that coming out and that having that and that information get out there, I would not be surprised at all if Uncle Howdy shows up on the Raw after WrestleMania. Maybe that's too soon. I could be wrong, but I would say from then on out, who knows? It could be any time. You know, I don't.
And I remember Bray saying something like that to me once too. Like it was during the time that he was off, that he was released before he came back, and I was saying that we really missed him on TV and we want him back, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, "I miss it too, but it's got to be right." And I think Taylor will emulate.
Yeah, or
that.
maybe he doesn't show up directly. Maybe they come up with something
like
to
White
start
Rabbit
teasing. Yeah, to
teasers,
start teasing something or whatever. Yeah,
in a very Bray fashion.
Yeah,
he will come back in very Bray fashion.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting some really. I love some of these thoughts here in the chat. Big Dan saying he thinks. Yeah, Big Dan saying I think we get a tease the night after WrestleMania on Raw. Austin saying the Fireflies 1,000,000% will be behind Taylor when he comes back, and I can't wait. Alicia saying 3 Little Birds, Bob Marley keeps playing every time I put the radio on, and his things will move, pictures close. Wow. James saying I had a thought earlier during U.S. Express Hall of Fame induction. Have Mike Rotunda tell the WWE universe that Bray will be going into the Hall of Fame next year. When the lights go out, Fireflies come out. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Christopher is saying Uncle Howdy showing up on Raw after WrestleMania would be awesome. Herdy Sketch, Richie saying, hey, all you Fireflies, love you all. We love you too, Richie. Brittany saying, I'm seeing Taylor this weekend. That's awesome. That's awesome. Send him our love.
Yeah. Give him a big old hug from us.
Yeah, send him our love. John G saying Uncle Howdy will return at WrestleMania or after WrestleMania. Deanna saying I think it's sooner than we expect. Teasers when Alexa comes back.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was about to say that too. I don't know how close Alexa is to coming back, but maybe she comes back and coincide and they do something together, because we saw shades of that before with her and Uncle Howdy having interaction. So, and I'm sure she would love to be part of this again. She talked about that being the best part of her career.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brittany. She says she'll give him a huge hug from all of us.
Yeah, thank you, Brittany. We appreciate that. I really do. All right, so we're near the end of this episode, so I want to get final thoughts from the chat, but I want to start with Chris and Jodie. So just give us final thoughts on the documentary and just anything, in terms of where you think we see things go next, or anything that you'd like.
The amount of peace that I've gotten in the past 24 hours has been miraculous. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't describe it any other way. Like, yeah. I really thought when I got up this morning doing this show that I was going to bawl my eyes out. But I feel so at peace. Like, yeah. I know where he's at. I know why he's there. And we'll get to hang out with him again at some point.
Yeah.
For eternity.
Chris.
I just am glad to see that, how much, no matter how it is, whether it's things that Taylor does or things that the wrestlers do from time to time, or fans at shows, like, I'm just glad to see that his legacy is going to carry on. We're always going to see little nods here and there to Wyndham, and I hope it stays that way forever.
Absolutely. I agree. Thank both of you said it brilliantly. So yeah, I just think that we're going to continue to see his legacy through everyone that whose life he touched. He made such an impact on so many different people, and I have a thing about positivity and light spreading through the world, and
which is also biblical.
Exactly. So I think that this is an opportunity for that positivity and light to shine throughout the world, and we as the Fireflies can start that revolution and continue that revolution. So So yeah,
Yeah,
I go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
especially in today's toxic wrestling culture, like man,
Woo.
it'd be a good
Yeah.
inspiration for us.
Yeah. And you know what? It'd be great if that would rub off in other areas too. If people say,
Yeah.
you know, these wrestling fans, they're doing something different. Let's check it out. And hopefully it rubs off on some other people being ridiculous in the world today.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, our channel was founded on. Like we want to be a positive place for people.
Absolutely. And we'll continue to be.
Yep.
And that's the way Bray would want it.
And you know, the show will stick around and follow Taylor wherever he decides to go. If he decides to do it. If not, we will find plenty of other things to talk about. You know, just because Bray's gone, he would not want us to stop.
And I'll be honest with you, we can go back weekly and do a segment of just breaking down his promos.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Many of them.
So many.
I've been telling Jodie that we should at some point, because she never got to do this, and she found out about him partway through, that we should just go back and start at the very first week that he debuted on Raw and just like watch every week all his matches and promos and everything. Just take it week by week and just rewatch it all.
Rewatch it all.
There's a watch along idea for you.
Yeah, that is. I mean, honestly, even going back to FCW and NXT, I mean, yeah, the gears are turning up here. So, yeah, that's going to be a future thing. Well, yeah, so thank you, Jodie and Chris. I know that it was a tough watch, but I feel like in many ways it did bring peace. Jodie, I think I think I hadn't thought about it until you said it, but I think all of us had such shock, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think for me anyway, I had so much shock about it that I almost didn't grieve fully.
Yeah.
And being able to watch the documentary allowed me to grieve.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Jeff. I've almost, in a way, still not been able to accept that it happened and it's real until watching that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of grieving, if you guys could just say a prayer. I don't remember if I told you guys that I had to do CPR on a patient a few weeks ago, and they ended up being okay. And saw them on Friday, and they were fine. And apparently, over the weekend, he passed away. So,
I'm so sorry.
So definitely say a prayer for their family.
Absolutely. Definitely keep them and you in our prayers. And I know the last time that we were on, Jodie, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that you weren't feeling well. So I just wanted, if you want to share how you're feeling now with everyone that's watching and kind of give a quick little update about, how you're doing along your journey.
I feel great. I've started taking a lot of vitamins. I've started backing off of my medication. I'm almost off of my pain medication completely. I'm down to taking it once a day. I'm starting to come off of my other medications very slowly, but yeah, adding the vitamins and stuff like that. I feel great. The only reason we haven't been on recently is just because I have been ridiculously crazy busy at work. I've been working a lot of extra hours. I had like 108 hours on my last paycheck. So it's partially, that they need the help, because corporate's kind of coming down on regulations and stuff like that. We had one or two clinics that got into some trouble as far as people being licensed and things like that. So I floated around to a couple of different clinics, and one of our regular techs had surgery, and so we've had to kind of take over. She was the person that did all the bleaching every week, so we've kind of had to take over that. So it's just been, work has been redonkulously crazy busy. And literally, like, what, I came home that entire 3 weeks and just came home, went to sleep, got up, went to work every single day for like 3 weeks. It was it was rough, but things are kind of settling down. She actually gave me a couple of days off this week, so I'm only working this week. I'm going in on Thursday to bleach in the afternoon, and then I work Friday and Saturday, and that's it. There's 1 week in a couple of weeks that I'm working like 5 days in a row, but I have a really good, solid relationship with my boss. And really, after that 3 weeks, all I had to do was go to her and said, "Hey, Heather, I need a day off. I'm burned out. I'm stressed out. Like, I need a day off." And she said, "Absolutely, no problem. Thank you for letting me know." I was like, "Heather, I'm at my limit. I got to take some time off." So, and, you know, building towards a leadership position, that's something that's happening, you know, kind of slowly too. I don't want to rush into it. She doesn't want me to rush into it, but, you know, we talked about having a goal, like by the end of the year, for me to be in some kind of leadership role, either like a charge nurse that, you know, a floating charge nurse that floats between both clinics, kind of like a, you know, a director of nursing, between kind of both clinics. The 2 clinics that she has. But there's tons of opportunity for the company. She actually said the other day, she's like, "I feel like I'm probably going to lose you to another clinic because they're going to, you know, they're going to swipe you up for a CM job." And I'm like, I don't want to go to another clinic. Like, I love my clinic. I love my patients. Like, I don't want to go. Like, it was weird going to another clinic for her other clinic for 2 days. So I'm like, Heather, I don't want to go to another clinic, you know, but part and parcel of wanting to move up in leadership, that may happen at some point. But right now I love where I'm at. It's hard to get up that early in the morning, but, you know, I love my patients so much. Like, they're like an extension of my family. So it's like going to hang out with my family every day. Like, there were 2 patients last week that Chris made a strawberry cake for me, and I took 2 pieces of it to work and gave it to 2 different patients because I was raving about what a good cook he is. And one of my patients was like, "Oh man, I'm so jealous." I was like, "I'll bring you a piece." And, you know, I have another patient that's in some really hard financial times and going through some really strong difficulties. And I took in a bowl of that potato casserole he made and a slice of cake and gave it to her. So they really are like an extension of my family. Like, it's been, especially with my family not being here and being overseas. Like, the patients are great. Like, I joke around so much with some of them. Like, you know, a lot of them, you know, I've got a few of them that are just dirty old men. You know what I mean? Like, but it's funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not serious about it. They're just making funny jokes. You know what I mean? So it's fun to joke around with them like that, you know, and it's, the pictures are great. Like, I bonded with them. And, you know, losing one over the weekend, and there's a couple more that I don't think are going to be around too much longer. But, you know, one of my patients, I call him Pops because he reminds me so much of my dad. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know, there's another one that I call Ruthie Poo. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know, they're just fun. I enjoy spending time with them. Kyle's patients are awesome.
Cherish those moments.
I do. I
Yeah,
really do. Because they're just fun.
Yeah.
It makes going to work fun.
And that's a good thing. And we're gonna end this. We're gonna end this just like we started it. It's still your birthday, so happy birthday! I'm gonna play it. Happy birthday again, Jodie. We hope you and Chris and the kids have a great evening. All of you in the chat who've been watching, we've had over 100 folks the entire time. So thank all of you for joining us this evening and sharing your thoughts, not only on the documentary, but just on what Bray Wyatt meant to you individually. So thank you all so much. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Abby's Abode. But we'll be back on this channel on Thursday for Impact. So come back and join us.
And we have WrestleMania this weekend.
Yeah. And we got WrestleMania. So
we will be here. I will be here. I almost got in a fight with my boss because she put me on the schedule to work at another clinic until 10:30 at night on Sunday. And I went, nope. I said, you better take me off that schedule because it's WrestleMania. I ain't missing it. I said, I don't mind working in the morning, but I gotta be out of there by 1 o'clock. Done. And she was like, okay.
I used to, when I worked retail, I used to say, make me work Super Bowl Sunday. WrestleMania, I will not be here. I will call out.
So because of the eclipse, normally we're closed on Sunday, but because of the eclipse, we're closed on Monday. So we're having everybody come in on Sunday instead. So I'm working Sunday morning, which is going to suck after Saturday night to stay up late Saturday night and go in at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah. But I'll be out of there by noon.
Yep.
So
we'll see you and Chris on this weekend for WrestleMania.
We'll be here.
Can't wait.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll see all of you in the chat with us as well. We'll be here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I'm not sure. Possibly, and Sunday. So whole weekend. That tells you my brain is almost gone. So
a lot of wrestling this week.
A lot. And at some point we might talk about a certain interview that happened yesterday. Just as some chatter. There was an interview that happened, but I'm sure none of you have probably heard about it or anything like that. We'll chat about it though. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time, folks. Take care.